Toastmasters International Recording Statement. Because this virtual Toastmasters meeting is being recorded, Toastmasters International requires we read this statement. By attending this virtual meeting, you agree to the privacy policy of Toastmasters International as well as the unassociated remote hosting service. Some of your personal information, such as name, image, and any shared messages, may be shared with other meeting participants and will be recorded by Toastmasters International, who may use the recording in the future as it sees fit. Your remote attendance hereby discharges Toastmasters International from all claims, demands, rights, promises, damages, and liabilities arising out of or in connection with the use or distribution of said video recordings, including but not limited to any claims for invasion of privacy, appropriation of likeness, or defamation. If you don't want your likeness to be shown, please turn off your camera. Thank you, everyone. This is the first Learning Lab session of month of June. Today we do have two special guest speakers, Jessie Oakley and Lena Joe. Let me introduce Jessie. It is my honor to introduce Jessie. Jessie's Toastmasters journey began in 1995 when he was a civil engineering student at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, via the Speechcraft program. In 2002, he joined his home Toastmasters club, Star Masters Toastmasters. From 2005 2024, his service included being a select distinguished area governor, president distinguished division governor, district 33 governor, region 2 advisor, and region 2 international director. Professionally, Jesse is an associate engineer for the Nevada Department of Transportation. In his spare time, he volunteers for the Communication Division at the American Red Cross of Utah and Nevada. Hosts his own podcast, the Sunday Morning Chat series, and is the author of Greeting Happy People, Positive Words and Wisdom Through the Eye of Mr. I. Jesse, floor is yours.
Let me get myself ready here so we can get this going with the slideshow, because I have one amazing slideshow for all you happy people, and it is going to be truly fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and get things going from the beginning, from the top. And wait for it for a moment. Come on in the beginning, and there we go. Hello, everybody. My name is Jesse Oakley III, and I am here to actually give a wonderful presentation about setting the tone for leadership. Before we get started with this, I have a couple of quotes to share for you. The first quote comes to you from a man who has changed the automobile industry here in the United States. And this man is none other than Lee Iacocca. He was not only the creator of the Ford Mustang, but he was also the chairman of Chrysler, who rebuilt Chrysler back in the 1980s. And he says, when it comes to leadership, the speed of the boss is the speed of the team. That way, if you're a leader, you have a choice on how fast or how moderate pace that you want to go whenever you're leading different communities. Do you want to go fast? Do you want to go slow? Do you want to go at a certain pace that's going to go step by step by step by step? That is up to the leader. And Mr. Iacocca said it best, with the speed of the boss becoming the speed of the team. Next, we do have here, and another quote I'd like to share with you is very important when it comes to leadership. And this following quote says, Don't put live eggs under dead chickens. What do I mean by this? Well, in order for eggs to become baby chicks, you have to have a live chicken get on the eggs in order to get that warmth, in order to get that love, in order to get that cultivation. So when a chicken is alive and sitting on the eggs, guess what? That eggs has a chance to hatch and become baby chicks. So if you have a dead chicken underneath the eggs, will it be able to grow? Not a chance. It won't be able to break out of its own shell. So this is very important to actually not put live eggs under dead chickens. So we have those live eggs that are ready to hatch and ready to break out. You do not want a dead chicken underneath there. You want that nurturing mother hen to actually be over those eggs. Allow me to formally introduce myself. Yes, you've heard the introductions, but my name is Jesse Oakley III. I am a distinguished Toastmaster, a past international director, a past region advisor, a past district director, well, pardon me, a past district governor, because I was District 33 governor back in 2012 and 2013 when we were called governors back in the day. And I've also loved training leaders, whether it is on the club level, the area level, the division level, the district level, the region level, the international level. I get a kick out of training leaders in my own Jesse Oakley way, my own Jesse Oakley fashion, having fun, having passion, and always doing it with heart. Because if you have heart, you have things that are alive. If you have heart, you have keep the beat going. And if you have heart, you're going to have that energy that would be able to be contagious from myself to anyone that I would like to train. And hopefully this energy and this passion and this enthusiasm will hopefully spread right to you, the people here in this wonderful training. And the objectives of this setting the tone for leadership, it is fourfold. One, set positive expectations. I want to set positive expectations. I want to set something that's energetic. I want to set something that is extremely happy, where we all go out on a positive note, especially here on a Sunday morning. And I want to make it more easier on a Sunday morning than Lionel Richie and the Commodores. So I really want to make it that fashion, that energy. Next, create healthy team cultures. In the world of team cultures, yes, you heard of the phrase I. That's Mr. I. That's that's created off of a misspell, but I digress. Healthy team cultures, and not about the me's and the I's. It's about the we's and the us. You got to have that healthy team culture when it comes to togetherness. The third reason is lead through example. And this, you will not hear me say throughout this presentation, do as I say, not do as I do. That has got to be one of the most negative type of leadership responses I've ever heard through my years within Toastmasters is do as I say, not as I do. If I hear that, no, we're not going to say that one bit. And of course, influence others through behaviors. How are you going to act, or how are you going to respond, or how are you going to deal with different situations? Are you going to be a calm, cool individual? Are you going to find solutions, more solutions than problems? How are you going to have your impact and your influence direct the rest of the team? That is, my friends, is always up to you. Now, my quick question for everybody out there. I want you to take this moment and think about the best leader that you've worked with inside and outside of Toastmasters. My question to you, and you may want to write this response and put it on chat, is what made that person memorable as a leader? If you can put it on the chat, please feel free to do so. But what makes that person memorable as the best leader that you ever had? And we do have some chats that are here. And we do have introductions here. We have Myra here. We have greetings from hello, Elios. Hey, how's it going, my man? How's it going? And we do have many people. And if you have that chance to make that chat, what made the person memorable as a leader? Feel free to put that in the chat, and I'll be more happy to read those for the people that are out there. And we do have authentic, approachable, the passion with heart. Hey, I like that, Aneta. I like that, Yumi. And focus, I was on the team, not himself. That's good. The I is not a part of this. It's more we's. Ensured, enable, empowered us. Trust, welcoming, empower. Fantastic. Now, this is another volunteer, and you can put this on you can answer this through chat. What tone did the leader set? What tone did this wonderful leader set when it comes to that best leader that you work with? Feel free to explain this through the chat as well. Let's see, any type of tone. Could it be an energetic tone? Would be a positive tone? Oh, positive. Yes, positive. That's right. We have a positive tone right there. We have authentic. And in the world of AI, authentic still matters in leadership. Friendly. Yes, friendly and supportive, energetic, and fun looking environment. Ooh, I love humble. And it is always best to actually be humble. And I have another quote to share with you about regarding humbleness and leadership. And leadership, for me, one thing you need to watch out for when it comes to leadership is the three-letter word of EGO, ego. Because egos are like balloons. The bigger they are, the more likely they'll pop. And when it pops, your feet better be close to solid ground. Otherwise, it's one heck of a fall. So always keep the ego in check when you're always in leadership. And don't let that balloon get any bigger, bigger, and bigger. Otherwise, it's going to pop. Let's go on to the next slide here. Now, what does setting the tone mean? Well, setting the tone, you have to establish expectations on what do you want? What do you want the end results to be in mind? What are you looking forward to within leadership? 2, model desired behaviors. What type of behavior are you willing to set in order to keep the pace with the team that you're working with? Influencing culture. What type of a culture are you going to have? Are you going to be the live hen that's going to support the live eggs? Or are you going to be the dead chicken that's going to be on the eggs? That choice is up to you. It's always best to be that live chicken supporting the eggs that are ready to hatch and ready to crack and become baby chicks. Also, create the environment others experience. You have to have that certain emotional intelligence on not only your self-awareness or your self-management or who you are as a leader, but also the social awareness. Get a chance to look at the environment that you're in, as well as relationship management, knowing yourself and knowing other people and how you can actually click with each other. And I will say this, you see this big picture here, and this picture is, I believe, the world's tallest thermometer over in Baker, California. And for people that don't know where Baker is about 90 miles southwest of Las Vegas, and it is a thermometer between Las Vegas and Barstow, California. That is where the thermometer is, and it always tells you the temperature. But a key thing about this is leaders are thermostats. They're not thermometers. Instead of checking the temperature, they're the one that control the temperature. They're the one that control the heat. They're the one that control the coolness. They are the ones that determine what the temperature will be in the room today. And guess what? Leadership is contagious. People, when it comes to leadership in any type of community, people like to often mirror the energy of the room, the attitude, the professionalism, the accountability, and also the enthusiasm. As I mentioned before, from the words of Lee Iacocca, the speed of the boss is the speed of the team. What type of speed are you going to give to the team? What type of passion are you going to give to the team? What type of energy are you willing to give to that team? Well, my friends and fellow Toastmasters, that is all up to you as a leader. And why does the tone matter? The tone basically gives the influence on the different types of leadership responsibilities that you're out there. And it's all in 4 different forms. 1, the tone involves morale. How do people feel at the moment in a given environment? Number 2, how do people work under performance? How do you want them to perform? And how do you want your leadership to perform? If you want to perform one way, you have to be the one that sets the tone. You have to be the person that's going to be there at the given environment and be that person that's going to lead the way through that performance. Number 3, retention. Why people stay. Why do people stay with you as a leader? Because if you have that influential, if you have that power, if you have that passion, the more you have that, the more people are going to attract to you and be in that environment. And they're going to be the ones that are going to stay and stick around because of what you bring to the table. And if you bring the dynamics, if you bring the support, if you bring the energy, if you bring the positivity, if you bring the heart, if you bring the drive, if you bring the spirit, good news. You are a leader, a darn good leader, and people are going to follow you and they actually stick around with you. However, if you are the monotone leader, if you are the boring leader, If you are the dead chicken underneath the eggs, guess what? The dead chicken energy will drive people away, and they will not be able to return because they'll probably be as bored and they want that certain energy that's out there. And another tone that you want to focus on is culture, how people react to the culture. Is when it comes to the leadership and energy, how will people react to the culture? And my secret sauce is this. In order to know the people that you're working with, you have to know the people, period. Know who you're dealing with. Are they know their backgrounds, know their setup, know their stories, know where they come from. If you're able to understand your people better and find ways to actually find that spirit to connect to the people that you're with, guess what? You have that click, you have that link on how people can react to different cultures. And guess what? You have a harmonious culture within your leadership. And there are also dangers of a bad tone. This is something that you want to step away from. How far do you want to step away from them? Well, you want to step away from them farther than where I am in Las Vegas compared to where Umanga is over in California, over in that, I believe, New Mexico. Am I right? In New Mexico, or myself in Las Vegas, or where Yumi is over in California. You want to create a distance that is wider and farther away from any type of bad tone. And if I see any of the following from the bad tones, you and me are going to have a long talk if I see anyone do these following bad tones. And what are these bad tones? Toxic negativity. You do not want toxic negativity in your team because that can also be contagious like positivity. You do not want to gossip about people that are behind people's backs. You know, small mind, I'll say this, I've said this on the quote before. Small minds talk about people. Average minds discuss events. Big minds and supportive minds talk about ideas. I would rather see leaders focus on ideas and solutions and situations to the problem instead of having to go behind someone people back and say that darn Jesse Oakley. I don't know how he feels about him as a District 33 governor. I'm, I don't know if I want to work with Jesse Oakley that third because I've heard about him as district governor in District 33. And I told that other person I know if Jesse Oakley is too, but I digress. Low participation. Low participation, that is always a danger when it comes to different clubs. And I will confess that I belonged to small clubs before, and I can tell you that low participation can lead to the next thing, burnout. And if you have that burnout energy, guess what? It's like this glass here. Some people see this as half empty. And if you have this half empty energy of burnout, guess what? You'll be able to pour with the levels of liquids that you do have. So it's always best to fill your cup up and take care of yourself through the burnout. If you ever face burnout, if you ever face that empty cup, take time for yourself to fill yourself up and take care of yourself first. Because if you take care of yourself first, then you'll be able to take care of other people. Because you can't serve people with an empty cup. So always got to be important to take care of yourself first before you take care of other people as well in the same process. Lack of trust. This is the dagger that hurts many communities is lack of trust. And I've seen this happen before with different leaderships and being separate for one click over here and another click over here. And with all these clicks together, you have separation between one side over here saying this side and the other side over here saying this thing. And when it comes to lack of trust, they will not be able to open the door and connect to each other. That bridge is not there. That track is not there to connect with each other. So lack of trust is definitely devastating. And you also have high turnover. High turnover, circular leadership, and that is also a risk because when you have that turnover, when you have more coming out than coming in, guess what? The population will be shrinking, and that could be a serious trouble. So you may want to avoid these bad tones. And if I ever see anybody in this conversation or this recording use one of these, please feel free to give me a call because we're going to have a long chat and a long talk about how to remedy this dangers of a bad tone. And next, I'd like to share with you the 4 important pillars of setting the tone. And if you see these pillars, you got to have the foundation. As I mentioned before, I'm an associate engineer, and my specialty is working with materials of concrete, asphalt, of aggregates, rocks, and everything else. And the reason why I do this is I'm basically a quality control and make sure that the materials is a good quality controls through a battery of laboratory tests. Sometimes you burn the asphalt, sometimes you freeze the asphalt, sometimes you go through under cold cracking conditions, and sometimes you have that shear of the asphalt to determine how durable the asphalt is. And that is what I do in a laboratory. And myself, I check the quality of the material before they're placed on the roadways. And with these 4 pillars, you're basically testing the quality of the pillars and understanding that these are the strong foundations. And with the strong foundation you have, guess what? The stronger foundation, the more it's going to last. And in my case, when it comes to asphalt, concrete, aggregates, and anything else, but the key thing is to make sure they last for generations to come as people drive on the roads here in Nevada. First pillar, lead by example. And when it comes to leading by examples, remember that quote, do as I say, not as I do. Well, you could just toss it out the window and just get that out of your mind, hit a big X on it, erase it, stomp on it, burn it, do what you can to just toss it away. Because people watch leaders more than they listen to leaders. I could come up to the front and say blah 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 blah. Will leaders listen to that? No, but they may listen to that, but they might look at your actions. And if your actions go in reverse of the blah 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 blah, people are not going to listen to the blahs. They're going to look at what you're doing as a leader and ask, is this a leader that I want to follow? So when it comes to watching, actually taking action as a leader, ask yourself the following questions. Am I punctual? Am I on time? Am I 15 minutes early before we actually get started with this presentation? The good news, everybody, I was actually, I think that you may want to help me out is, was I here 15 minutes before we got started with this leadership lesson? I think it was correct.
Yeah.
See, punctual. It does matter. Am I prepared? Am I prepared? Well, with this preparation of this presentation I'm giving you to set the tone, I think I'm pretty prepared for this presentation. Am I respectful? Well, love being respectful to the people that are here because you know what? Toastmasters rocks. And all you happy people that are either watching the recording or being here today, remember, you rock. You are amazing and you're fantastic. Am I accountable? Well, I'll tell you right here, right now. There's a growth that happened between myself being district governor from 2012 to 2013, to regional advisor from 2016 to 2017, to international director from 2022 to 2024. And that growth happens this way. And when you have the growth right there, you have degrees of accountability. For being a district governor, I have this level of accountability that covers Southern Nevada, Central California, and Ventura County at the time. I'm accountable for what happens here. When it comes to region advisor, the accountability widened from Nevada to California to Oregon and to Hawaii when I was region advisor. And guess what? That even multiplied when I became international director. I was able to not only focus on the region that I represent, but also all of Toastmasters International, where we make those key decisions at the board. So the accountability is a huge plus and is a huge must when you take on any leadership role. And for those that have been elected leaders, whether it be area director, division director, club growth director, program quality director, and division director, accountability is huge. And no matter what happens, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself what could I do to actually make this better? And what can I do with a team to actually work with a team to become better? It's like the Michael Jackson song, Man in the Mirror. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change. That's always best. Pillar number 2, communicate with purpose. Great leaders communicate clearly. They go back and forth with each other. They make sure that we're all on the same wavelength and same stretch. That way, nobody could go lone wolf on anybody because this is a team effort. This is a we effort, not a me effort. Consistency. Now, consistency is truly important. It's always best to stay the course and focus on the end result in mind. In the math philosophy, the shortest distance between 2 points is what? A straight line. And it's your job and responsibility to go from here to here and to get a straight line and focus on the end results and not be deflected or distracted by anything that could happen. And it is a tough balancing act, but you as leaders can do it respectfully. It's all about, in the words of the late Aretha Franklin, RESPECT, respect for each other and respect for yourself. Without respect, what can happen? And so many people out there when it comes to leadership, and I've been in Toastmasters for 20 plus years, and I've seen so many leaders that I admire, and I've seen other leaders that in my own Southern tongue say, bless your heart. Because the reason why I say that is there's so many people that think that they're entitled to respect. Guess what? I have newsflash for you. Respect is earned, not entitled. In order to get respect, you have to give respect. You have to show respect. You have to harness respect and actually have respect for each other. That way, when you're working with a team and have respect for each other, guess what? It shows. It's right there at the ready. And if you have that respect right there, you're going to be in great shape. And of course, frequently. This is not a part of me, everybody, but in order to you have to be frequent with what you have to do on a daily basis, with where you have to go. And for myself, I like to use doing a to-do list. I like writing down at least 10 things to write on the list in order to accomplish them. If I can accomplish 8 out of the 10, that's a good day. If I can accomplish 9 out of 10, that's a better day. If I can accomplish all 10 of my goals for the day, that's a great day. It's all about frequency. Yes, you may have goals, but you have to monitor them daily, step by step, moment by moment. And pardon me if this gets very interesting, but it's like taking a bath every day. You have to just make sure that you're clean every day. You have to make sure that you wash yourself every day. Because if you have a chance to not take a bath in certain days, like 3, 4, 5 days, guess what? That creates a stink. And you do not want to create a stink within yourself when it comes to leadership. You want to make sure that you're clean. You want to make sure that you're focused. You want to make sure that you're constant frequently and taking baths and what you need to do and actually have those to-do lists every day. Because nobody likes stinky leadership. I do not like stinky leadership. But even if you have stinky leadership, there's always ways to improve. And if you have that stinky moment, find ways to better yourself and improve yourself. And that's the importance of having that frequent leadership. Number 3, build a culture of trust. Trust, like this pillar, is a foundation of leadership. Let's say that you have this pillars of strong, solid, granite, concrete. It's durable, it's hard, it's amazing, it's fantastic, and it's so supportive. Would you feel confident about support that's under those pillars? Yes, you would. But what if the pillar was made of some weaker material like aluminum, like dirt, like something that is extremely watery or run down? Will you have confidence right there? No, not at all. That confidence is going to crumble, it's going to crack, all because you do not have the solid foundation. And a solid foundation that you must have as a leader is trust. Trust. Trust is a must for foundation leadership because it creates the following. It creates honesty. You got to be honest with each other. No matter how good or how challenging the situation is, you have to be honest with each other and tell the truth on how certain things go respectfully. You have to be transparent on what you need to do with where you need to go. You also have to be reliable. When it comes to leadership and reliability, think of people that you rely on when you're dealing with leadership, whether you're an area director, a division director, a trio member, or a regional advisor, or anywhere else. Who could you rely on? And for myself, I love having the anchor list. When I was a division governor back in 2008, 2009, there are the club leaders I do have, and there are also those anchor people that are with the clubs. And the reason why I say anchor is the stalwart, the Toastmasters that belong to that club that are there to actually keep the club on anchor and make sure that the club doesn't drift around. They're the heavily influenced people that I do rely upon. And of course, consistency. Consistency is a huge thing when it comes to the operating of trust. The more trust you have, the more consistent trust you have, the better the relationship is. And my friends, without trust, guess what? Influences disappears and it corrodes and it cracks under pressure. So when you're dealing with trust, always have trust with you when you're working with different leadership and actually setting the tone. And number 4, create positive momentum. This is true in anything that you have to do is create positive momentum. Because guess what? Moment creates enthusiasm. Moment creates energy. Moment creates passion. Moments create the wow factor. It creates as much as you possibly can because this momentum right here is a lot better than having momentum of negativity, momentum of boredom, momentum of meh. You do not want to have those types of momentums that are there. You want to have that momentum that really drives people, that really gets people going, that gets them energized, that gets them pumped, that gets them excited. You want to have that type of momentum that's going to make you say, wow, we're already at June 30th, 2027 already? Where did the time go? We had so much fun. We had so much passion with each other. I did not want this to end. We got to have some good strength with each other. That's the type of momentum that you want to create. Is something that's positive. And how do you create momentum? Well, my friends, you create momentum by celebrating wins. Who got their Distinguished Toastmaster Award? By the way, congratulations, Yannicka, for that DTM award. Fantastic. See how easy that is? It's about celebrating those wins and victories. And as well as congratulations, Yannicka, for becoming Area Director of the Year for the district. Yeah. See how easy that and simple that is? That's truly amazing. And also recognizing efforts, because how many of you, by show of hands, are distinguished Toastmasters? Okay, if you are a distinguished Toastmaster, does that take a lot of work or what? It takes lots of effort to actually become a distinguished Toastmaster. Whether it is the legacy of Distinguished Toastmaster, which I've done back in 2007, or my second Distinguished Toastmaster, which I got this year through Pathways. Yes, I am a second Distinguished Toastmaster. Yay! It takes a lot of effort to get from point A, the beginning of Toastmasters, to getting this goal of Distinguished Toastmasters. And of course, the next one I'd like to share with you is encouraging participation. The encouraging participation. This is a skill and this is an art form about encouraging participation. If you see someone that you know that are capable of taking on a leadership role or taking on a presentation like this, I'm reminded of a 2014 World Champion of Public Speaking. And that quote for that 2014 World Champion of Public Speaking in Malaysia, Dhananjaya Hedirochi, sums it up in the following. I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. If you have that energy of, I see something in you that's given to you, what does that say? That says, wow, this person believes in me. This person has that knows that capability. This person knows what I'm capable of doing. So if you ever use a phrase, I see something in you, mean it, own it, and let them know why you see something in that person, that they're able to be capable of what they need to do. Remember, I see something in you, and I don't know what it is. Always remember to have that participation. And yes, share success stories. Always share success stories, because there have been so many people here in Toastmasters that had their own challenges, their own journeys, and somehow they're able to overcome what they need to overcome. Now, I will share, be personal with you, that one of the main challenges I had with district governor back in 2012, 2013 was not the revolving door of leadership, where the revolving door of area governors and division governors. The certain success story happens outside of Toastmasters when I was district governor. And first and foremost, I want to thank the lieutenant governors, Kathy Schultz and Katie Porter, for being leadership during the personal challenge. And my personal challenge at the time was my wife's cancer surgery during my time as district governor. And I had to step back as district governor in order to attend to my wife as she was able to go through her cancer surgery and her challenges. And luckily, we caught it very early at the time, and that was truly amazing. And I could probably say right here, right now, that my wife, Dana, is 13 years cancer-free. Thank goodness. And that is truly a remarkable story. And it goes to show you that it is not a we format and a we celebration. It is a we format and we celebration, pardon me. And it's all about we, because I could focus on leadership, but I relied on my capabilities of my two lieutenant governors, of Kathy Schultz and Katie Porter, for taking over as I heal and attend to my wife as she battled cancer, and she became victorious after that. Great leadership. That is what it's all about. Now that you have the four pillars, How can one build momentum in action? You can have to spell out momentum. And how do you spell out momentum? Well, I know momentum is a big word and has lots of letters, but you can spell it out in the following ways. M will be for motivation. O, take ownership, take responsibility. M, meaningful progress. You have to ask yourself, how far are you going and were you better off than where you were before? E, energy. Duh. You have to have energy where you go. You have to have that excitement. You have to have that passion right there. Because if you don't have the energy, guess what? You're that dead chicken that's under the live eggs. You have to have that energy. And new opportunities. Always find those new opportunities that are out there. Great example of who moved my cheese. Be the scurry and the sniff, finding the new cheese out there instead of the hems and the haws. Well, the hems won't move, but the haw will be that reluctant to find that new cheese. So always find a new cheese when it comes to new opportunities. T, teamwork. It's all about we and not about me. It's all about us, and not about the I. And M, but you, unity. Same thing. It's all about unity in the community. We got to be together. And M, move forward. Always move forward and always stay the course because I've learned this through the past international director and a accredited speaker and a Toastmaster for 63 years. Rest his soul. His name was Don Inch. And he told me when I was a division governor, stay the course, never quit, for quitting is worse than failing. So when it comes to that momentum forward, always move forward. And how do you connect with leaders? That is another question you may want to ask yourself. Or how does it connect with Toastmasters? First off, a good example is club officers. Club officers set the tone through any club meeting, and this is set the club tone through meeting quality. The quality of the meeting matters. Let's say you're a guest in a Toastmaster, and you look at the environment of the club quality, and the club quality, if you were to give a club quality a grade of A through F, let's say the club quality in this room is an H, H for horrible. Chances are, will that person stick around? No, not at all. They probably have a bad word and bad memory about Toastmasters. And if I see anyone with an H grade of quality, you and I are going to have a long talk. So you may want to shoot for the A plus, the A minuses, or the A's in the club's club quality. Be welcoming, be professional, have that structured meeting, and also have that fun, have that meeting quality right there. The club culture. Always had that club culture. Now, my home club of Star Masters, Toastmasters, we have a club culture and we have our own chant. And our own chant is 1, 2, 3, wow. That is our own club chant. If anybody does anything amazing, whether they give an amazing speech or an amazing table topics or an amazing environment or overall amazing meeting, you can ensure that there's Star Masters, Toastmasters, my home club for the past 24 years. We always go with the 1, 2, 3, wow. And we do have that 1, 2, 3, wow spirit that connects all of us. And it basically says congratulations for everybody. And then that recognition is also huge when you're dealing with Toastmasters in a basic meeting. Recognition, whether it be for giving a table topics answer or whether it is evaluating a speech or whether it is writing those notes or those ballots and passing it over to the speaker, telling them how good a job that he or she did, that recognition does matter. And of course, communication. Communication is key. You want to make sure that everybody is on the same wavelength of communication. If one person's talking Apple and another person's talking Apple, that is good communication. But if one person's talking Apple and the other person's talking orange, uh-oh. You may want to find out that why the person is not talking about Apple versus orange and get a chance to know that person. That way, if you know your person and know that your person that you're dealing with, you will not fear any type of losses in any battles. But if you have that person that talks apples and person that talks oranges and don't get a type of results, then that's a 50-50 chance of lack of success. And the key thing is understand each other and get a chance to understand and talk with each other. Membership experience. Membership experience is also a plus. Why do people stay in this organization? Why do people continue to be a part of Toastmasters? I can tell you right now, within the past 24 years of being in Toastmasters, what keeps me going in Toastmasters? Guess what? It's you. That's right, you, the member of Toastmasters. I love doing these types of trainings. I love training so many amazing people out there. And I got to tell you that getting a chance to reach out to fellow Toastmasters like you makes a big difference because it not only wants to spread words of wisdom from yours truly, but also get a chance for every member to learn any type of opportunity from this presentation. Whether it is here at this Learning Lessons Lab or whether it is at the International Convention. I don't know if I don't think I'm going to do it in Vancouver, but hopefully, if I get the opportunity, I'd love to do that. Or whether it's at a district conference and even giving district keynote speeches, which I've done in District 1 and District 39. There's also, and also 33 with the Toastmaster Leadership Institute training. There are those times where we have to have, I get a high of get a chance to connect and work with all of you because you know what? You rock. You're awesome. And if I didn't think that the people here in Toastmasters were awesome, why the heck am I here for 24 years? Go figure. So I gotta let you all know that I love all of you and you rock big time. That's the experience I do have, and that's the tone through the club officers. I really appreciate you big time. Example number 2, area and division leaders. Areas and division leaders set the tone by 1, supporting clubs, 2, encouraging growth, because you always got to encourage growth, whether it is a drop by drop into the jug or it's a step by step. Every moment of growth matters. And if you don't grow, guess what? You decay. There's no such thing as stability. Either you grow or you decay. You go up or you go down. And always find ways to go up and encourage growth. Celebrating achievements, whether it is a 1, 2, 3, wow, or whether it's anything else, it's always best to celebrate those achievements for people that have done anything, either inside or outside of Toastmasters. That makes a big difference. And building relationships. I love building relationships with everybody within Toastmasters. And another thing I love about building relationships is whatever position I take on, whether it be district governor, whether it be region advisor, whether it be international director, or whether it be my wife and I being co-host chairs of a convention in 2015 in Las Vegas. It's all about building relationships, getting a chance to understand fellow Toastmasters all over the world. And for me, that is a very cool thing that I love to have inside myself because you know what? I get to connect with people. I get to just shake my hand. I get to talk to people because the connection is a big thing for yours truly. And hopefully it'll be a big thing for you when you're an area or division leader. And yes, district leadership, another example. District leadership, you have the vision as a district leader. What do you want the end results to be in mind? The priorities, what do you want your main priorities to be? What do you want the main thing to be the main thing to be the main thing? Expectations, what are your end results? And strategic directions. By a show of hands, how many of you have played chess before? If you haven't played chess, learn how to play chess. It's minutes to learn, but it's lifetime to master. And if you're able to play chess and learn the different pieces, whether it be the pawn, the rook, the knights, the bishop, the king, and the queen, and learn the intentions of the game, then you can actually understand more about strategic directions. You get to understand about knowing the chessboard. So my recommendation for leadership is learn how to play chess in a world of checkers. So be the best to play chess and you understand more about strategic direction. And the culture from leadership flows downhill from district director, from area director, from division director, all the way up to the clubs and the members. Because remember, the speed of the boss is the speed of the team. And this also creates the leadership ripple effects. A leader impacts the members, the officers, the guests, and the future leaders. That one positive action will create years of impact. My question to you is, what type of ripple do you want to create as a leader? You want to create a ripple that's full of positivity and passion, or do you want to create a ripple of a dead chicken? My friends, that is always up to you. And remember, don't put live eggs under dead chickens. You are not a dead chicken. You are a nurturing hen. You want to be the ones that actually create baby chicks as they hatch out of their eggs. You have the opportunity to be that hen to create more chicks that'll help out in the farm of Toastmasters. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. leadership always has challenges. And the best way that leadership is tested is through uncertainties. And we are at a moment of some uncertainties with this whole merger, whether it be district transitions from district director-elect, program quality director-elect, program director-elect, division director-elect, or area director-elect. It's a big challenge and big opportunities, those transitions. And of course, the new districts, whether it be founders, 201, 202, 203, any type of district that we're facing, we have the new districts. We also have rebuilding the clubs, we have officer changes, we have membership challenges. These are the storms that we're facing in front of us, the rough waters, the choppy seas. But I will give you the secret sauce about dealing with these different challenges. It's not it's not how these challenges are handed to you. It's how you respond and how you react to them. If you respond and react to them in a calm and positive and stoic manner, then guess what? That tests your mettle. That shows your mettle as a leader. Because I got to tell you that the best leaders I know, they're the ones that are standing stoic, standing strong, and no matter what type of weather they're at, no matter what seas they go through. These are the type of leaders that are there that make a huge impact, not only for that year, but for many years down the road into the future. And great leaders, as I mentioned before, it's all about staying calm, staying focused, staying positive, and staying solution-oriented. If you have a problem, find at least 5 solutions to that problem. Get a piece of paper and then write down as many solutions as you can, no matter how zany, no matter how serious, no matter how realistic they are. Find as many solutions as you can, because you never know. One of those solutions might work, but you never know unless you try. Stay calm, stay focused, stay positive, stay solution-oriented. And you got to ask yourself the following question. What example am I giving, am I setting as a leader? Look at yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself that question. What culture am I creating? Am I creating a good culture? Am I creating a challenging culture? How am I serving others? That's another question you need to ask yourself as a leader. And what will people remember about my leadership? If they remember your leadership more positive than negative, then my friends, you have a positive legacy of leadership. As I mentioned before, in the words of Michael Jackson, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change. Make it happen, because you are the man and the woman in the mirror, and that leadership is up to you. Come now. People may forget the titles, the awards, and the positions that you do have within your Toastmasters journey, but they will also remember the following. They'll remember the character of the person, the service that he gave. They remember the integrity, and they remember the impact that you've given for the overall leadership. My thing is this. They don't care. They don't look at all the awards that you've given. They look at how you make them feel. And my thing is, how did you make them feel as leaders? That is up to you. And like He-Man in those cartoons in that upcoming movie, you have the power. You set the tone. Your attitude, whether it be positive or negative, sets the atmosphere. You have the positivity, it sets the atmosphere. Your actions creates credibility. And basically, if you base your actions upon integrity, respect, service, and excellence, that creates credibility right there. If you inspire other people to actually do what they can, then your actions and examples will inspire others. And guess what? Your leadership creates an amazing culture. My question to you is, what culture are you willing to create as a leader? As I mentioned before in this early motion of this part of this presentation, the speed of the boss is the speed of the team, from Lee Iacocca's words. And if you have the speed of the boss, if you have that same speed, guess what? You create that energy within your community. So what speed are you going to go? Are you going to go regular speed? Are you going to go top speed? Or are you going to go ludicrous speed? That is up to you. And also remember, do not put live eggs under dead chickens. You are the nurturing chicken that's going to sit on those eggs and make sure that they hatch and become baby chicks of leaderships. This is Jesse Oakley III, and I got to tell you, it's been a pleasure doing this leadership lesson. And I say, the leadership is up to you. You set the tone, you set the energy, you set the passion, you set the heart, you set the heart. And remember, you have the power. This has been my presentation. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram. And for my email's there, jessoak3@gmail.com. If you have any other questions or any comments, I'm right here. Jesse Oakley III, Distinguished Toastmaster, past International Director, and Toastmaster for hire. I get back contact back to you. I get contact back to you, Umanga. Umanga, floor is back to you.
Thank you so much, Jesse. What a phenomenal presentation. It is time to discuss if you have any question or any comments. We do have 9 minutes. Please raise your hand. I can see Anita raise her hand.
Yes, Aneta.
Jesse, as always, it's a pleasure to see you, but more when I get to hear you speak, especially about leadership. You definitely are one to always be in front to usher us into a new Toastmaster year. Thank you so much for that. My question, or really just a comment to say, is one thing that I have found in leadership, especially when I'm working with a new team of leaders, whether I know them or don't know them, it's always a new experience for me with leadership, is that officer installations and member induction ceremonies at the beginning of the year are just phenomenal to do. Talk about set the tone. It says a lot. So I just wanted to share that and just say, I'm going to be a chicken sitting on live eggs and they will hatch this Toastmaster year. Yes, sir.
Aneta, you are clucking the right message. All right. And also, I would like to share with you another bit of advice. This is our first time, many people, this is their first time experiences. For the first experience with a new district and new leadership and new working with, get a chance to work with each other. Now, I will share with you 3 more words that has helped me out when it comes to doing something new. And those 3 words, dare to stink. That's right, dare to stink. Because when it comes to doing something the first go around, the first time, we're not going to get it perfectly. We're not going to get it perfectly right. And that is where dare to stink comes in. And when it comes to that slip up, that first fall, and the first attempt at it, it's a first attempt in learning. And it's up to you on what you're going to do after that first fail. Are you going to say, forget it and just leave? Or are you going to find solutions to actually become better in the next cycle? And I've learned that through successful leadership, there are leaders that after the stinkage happens, they find ways to be better. And how many times I've stinked? Oh my goodness, I've stinked so many times. It was so much funkier than a Rick James album. That's how much funk I had. I could tell you right now, it was super freaky. But I could say this, that after each stinkage that I do have, I learn from it and I should find ways to be better. So for myself, if you ever encounter anything for the first time ever, remember, dare to stink and get better after that. Any more questions, everybody? Or any comments? Oh my. I tell you what, if there are no other questions or comments, I'd like to say.
Oh, Patricia has a
Oh,
question.
okay, Patricia, feel free.
I was just going to say that I love the energy that you have. And I love that the speed of the boss defines the speed of the worker, because I have a tendency to go 600 miles an hour and turn around and say, oops, did I leave everybody back in the dust? And have to back it up some and say, okay, let me slow down a bit. That and the fact that I am data driven, and once I get ready to do something, I am laser focused. And I have to remember constantly that people matter.
Yes.
And I have to keep my hand on the pulse of my team and let them know in the very beginning that I am laser focused. If I get too lasered, feel free to pull my collar back. And we go through what does that look like for them so that all during the year, they are comfortable with saying, whoa, slow it down, girlfriend, you left me behind. And knowing that I need that because I will speed right past you if you don't pull me back. And I think that's kind of important, letting your team know the different types of personalities and that every personality is okay and you need them. I usually will put someone on my team that is the kumbaya, let's all hug and love each other because I'll leave you in the dust. And that person always tells me, Patricia, and I'll use my Spanish term, calmate, calm down. um, and then I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry. But I think that it's important to know your personality and that there's other personalities on the team, and that's okay.
And Patricia, you hit the nail right there on the head. And one of my favorite reads is from Sun Tzu's The Art of War. And there are so many wise words that Sun Tzu has given for that lasted 3,000 years. But there's one that has really stuck in my head, and it is the following. If you know yourself and you know the other person that you're working with, you do not have to fear defeat. If you know yourself and you don't know the other person, there's a 50-50 chance that you'll win or lose. But if you don't know yourself and you don't know the other person, you'll experience defeat every single time. So, Patricia, it's always best to actually know yourself and know the people that you're working with. That way, you can actually be ensured victory wherever you go if you know yourself and know other people that you work with. Yeah, no one gets left behind. Moving forward together is always the best option, especially if you know yourself and you know the people that you're working with. So I give credit to Sun Tzu for having that thought stuck in my head for after reading The Art of War.
Thank you, Jesse. If we have one more question, Yumi, do you have anything?
I don't have a question for Jesse. It's always a pleasure to listen to him and watch his presentation. I always learn something new. And then it's a reminder to be recalibrated in your own leadership because I'm of the mind that you learn from both good leaders and not so good leaders. When I see not so good leadership in display, what I do is I remind myself that I don't want that. I don't want that in my tool chest. Toss it out. And then I always recalibrate my tool chest. And Jesse is such a just a great role model, constantly reminding me what a good leader needs to do, exemplifies. So thank you, Jesse, once again.
Thank you. And I will share with you another bit of advice when it comes to leadership and that you can always emulate. There are 3 types of leaderships I will share with you. One is direct leadership, someone that you work with, someone that you're inspired by, whether they be amazing people that have been in the Toastmasters for quite a while and you admire their integrities, respect, service, and excellence. That is direct leadership. Indirect leadership are the books that one could read. And I love being an avid reader. I love reading John Maxwell. I love reading Brian Tracy. I do read Tony Robbins, and I do read Grant Cardone. I do read Jocko Willink. I do read those authors. I do not know them personally, but they are indirect leadership that helps influence, especially Sun Tzu. Those are the types of authors I love to read. And the other type of leadership that you may want to focus on is reverse leadership. What is reverse leadership? Well, we have leaders that do something that could be questions in integrity, that questions respect, that questions service, that questions excellence. If you see these types of leaders that have spread toxic negativity, do the reverse of what they're doing, hence reverse leadership. So if you see them doing bad here, do the complete opposite the other way. And that's reverse leadership. So you have those 3 leaderships. You have the direct leadership, you have indirect leadership, and you have reverse leadership. And fellow Toastmasters and Umanga, I thank you for this opportunity to actually do this presentation. And remember, you set the tone in leadership. You have the power. And whatever you do, wherever you are, no matter if you're an area director, division director, a trio member, an international director, a regional advisor, or international president, that's right, I'm looking at you, Stefano McGee. Remember, always do it with passion, always do it with clarity, and always do it with heart. And this concludes my portion. And Umanga and all the leaders here, thank you very much. It's been a true pleasure. And this is not goodbye. This is until next time. Until next time, Harry people.
Thank you so much, Jesse. The points you talk about today really help because this is the time we are going to begin next year and we really wanted to setting our tone as a leader. Thanks again for phenomenal presentation and everything was very helpful. Our second speaker here today, Lena Jo. Lena has served in several key district leadership roles within Toastmasters, learning contest chair, including contest chair, training chair, and currently as the public relation manager for District 100. Each of these roles has provided her with unique insight into leadership, engagement, and organizational growth. Through her journey in the PRM role, she has gained hands on experience in building visibility, strengthening brand presence, and driving membership growth. Today, she will be sharing practical insights, lessons learned, and strategies on public relations and membership and how the two go hand in building thriving Toastmasters community. Lena, floor is yours.
Thank you, Umanga, for that warm introduction. Hello, everyone. We just went through an amazing presentation on setting the tone as a leader. As we are gearing up for the next Toastmasters year, it is important for us to see how we can set the tone for our public relation efforts as well. Our key goal in public relations, whether we are playing the role of a club VP PR or a district's public relations manager, is bringing guests to your meeting. We are here to see how we can boost our membership, how we can grow a thriving club. In the previous sessions of Learning Labs, we did talk a lot about the best strategies, the best practices that we can employ in social media platforms, in print media. We also looked at examples of specific to corporate clubs and to in-person clubs. For those of you who couldn't attend the previous Learning Lab sessions on this topic, I will be posting the link to the recording in the chat towards the end of the session. And I encourage you to, whenever you get some time, to take a look at those recordings. So in today's session, I thought it would be a good idea to drill down and focus specifically on how to create, how to design impactful posters, impactful flyers for your PR efforts. So we are going to talk about designing impactful posters, the messaging in it for increasing our club's membership growth. The first impression effect. I have a question for you. What makes you stop and read a flyer, whether it's on social media or even if it's some print media that you are consuming? What makes you stop and read a particular piece of information or a poster? And I would encourage you to drop in the chat. What are some of the things? Yes, Yumi says engaging. What are some of the other things that makes you stop and focus on a piece of content? Relatable, great. Anything else? Attractive? Great responses. Thank you, Umanga and Yumi. The header. Yes, that's great, Malcolm. Focused message. Anything else? So the theme that I see from all the responses that you have posted in the chat, the design, yes, and that's what we're discussing here today. So the theme that I see common to most of the messages is it something which is engaging, attracting? Is the design captivating? And the second part is the message. Is it something which is relatable to me? Is there a focused message? So these are some of the things that we are going to be looking at in today's session. Some of you might know that people judge content within 3 seconds. That is right. You heard me right. Within 3 seconds, that is the time that you have as a VPPR or as a public relations manager to captivate your potential members. And once someone stops scrolling and actually focuses on your message within that 3 seconds, then you have about 30 to 60 seconds for them to actually read through the entire content. So I wanted to share with you this article that I came across recently, where it talks about the 3-second rule. And if you see in this section, it says, when someone lands on your social media page, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or any of the other platforms that you use, they make a decision within seconds. That is the 3-second rule. They are not analyzing your strategy. They are simply asking 2 questions. 1, do I understand this? That's where the simplicity, the focus messaging comes into picture. And 2, is this for me? That is the what's in it for me, the WIFM, which we spoke about even in the previous sessions. So if your promotional content is not answering these 2 questions, then you have lost that particular audience. So it is important for us to keep this in mind every time we create a design, every time we are designing a flyer or a poster, that we need to answer these 2 questions. Is it easily understandable for the audience? And 2, what is in it for them? Only if we are able to clearly articulate the value that they get, then we are able to draw them into further reading the content of our poster. So we have to always keep in mind the hook. What is the hook that we need to include in each of the posters that we design? So in today's learning labs, we are going to be looking at 2 elements. One is the design and the other one is the messaging. Both these go hand in hand when we are creating content for our club or our district. So the first one, which is the design element aspect, we're going to be looking further at 3 subtopics. The first one is visual hierarchy. The second is the readability. And third is consistency and branding. We will spend a few minutes on each of these in the following slides. The first one is the visual hierarchy. I go back to what Malcolm said, the heading. That is something that Malcolm focuses on when he sees a piece of promotional content. So it is important for us to design posters with that visual hierarchy in mind. What is the important information that needs to be put into our poster? That is something that needs to be clearly articulated right at the top. Because as readers, how we consume a piece of information is we read top to down and most likely left to right. So that is why it is important for us to have the most important piece of information right at the top. That is where our eyes land on a piece of promotional content. And then it is important for us to use size, the font size, the color of the font that we use, and the images that we use, the placement of images that we use. All these are important when it comes to guiding attention of your target audience. In the Toastmasters world, we have, as mentioned in the brand manual, there are a few Toastmaster colors that we use in all our promotional content. The very presentation that you see today is in line with those Toastmaster colors. So we have the loyal blue. That's the one that I have used as the header of this particular slide. Then we have the true maroon, which is what you see at the base, the footer of this particular slide. And then we have white, we are able to use black, and we have some accent colors, which is the happy yellow. So the reason we have these colors, I mean, there is a lot of thought that has gone behind Toastmasters International formulating these colors as part of our brand manual. It's something that we are able to use to create that contrast, to ensure that we're able to guide the attention of our audience by using these colors appropriately. The next point is limiting competing focal points. So if we have a poster and we have multiple key messages in that poster, it becomes consuming for the audience. It becomes confusing for the audience. So when they are trying to consume that, they have too much information, too much key information. So they're confused as to which is the one that I need to read. So that is why it is important to limit your focal points in your design. The next is the call to action should be prominent. We might design a fantastic poster, a beautiful poster, and we have our target audience reading through it. But if we don't have a clear call to action, what are we expecting them to do? They've seen the poster, they know about your club, but if you're not going to have maybe a link to one of your meetings or a link to your website, they have no further input on what your club is about or how can they join a meeting. So that is why it's very important to have a clear call to action prominent in your design. The next is leave sufficient white space. Take, for example, this very slide. You see that I have a lot of white space on the right-hand side corner. And what this does for a reader is, if they are presented a very busy slide, sometimes your mind automatically just cuts out. The first thing that comes to your mind is, oh, this is too much information. So that is why, or that is what white space can do to your design. If you have a sufficient amount of white space or empty space, that helps your reader consume the important message in the rest of the design easily. And finally, maintaining a logical reading flow. As we discussed, as readers, we usually consume content top to down. So it is important to have a clear logical flow, a clear headline, and then your details, and finally end it with the call to action. In the next slide, I'm going to show you two examples, more like a comparison. And I'm going to give you 10 seconds for each of those examples. I want you to take those 10 seconds and let me know in the chat, what are the first 2 or 3 things that you noticed on that particular poster? So we're going to look at it one at a time. Let me bring up the first poster. You have 10 seconds to observe it and let me know in the chat, what are the first 2 or 3 things that you notice in this? Okay, your 10 seconds time is up. So you can post in the chat, what were some of the things that you noticed? Yes, too much information. Small font, the microphone, okay. So Sherry noticed the image on that design, the microphone. Okay, now my question is, if you were a guest and if you were to see this particular piece of poster, what would you do? Is there any action that you would do to join a club meeting? Do you have the required information to join one of their club meetings? You can post in the chat. Okay. Simplify with key message. Correct? Okay, so now I'm going to show you. Okay, I see Malcolm has posted. What I noticed first, the mic, TM logo, Toastmasters Club, too much info, no clear primary, secondary, tertiary text. That's correct. Umanga says, I did not see the meeting information. So it was there somewhere in that, but because there were too many focal points, we were not able to focus on that particular piece of information. Yes, the branding guidelines as well. Okay, now let us move to the next example. I'm going to post that, show you that. And you have 10 seconds of time to observe this one. Okay, the 10 seconds is up. So now you can post in chat. What are some of the things you noticed? Okay. The image picture was not exactly the brand color, yes. But what are some of the things, other things that you noticed in terms of information? What are some of the things? The word free caught Loreda's attention, 21st September 2024, yes. Anything else that caught your attention from the second poster? Okay, so bringing them both up, the dates and times were easy to see. Thank you, Patricia. So bringing both of them side by side, just as a comparison. The one on the left, we see that there is too much information that is presented. So that is what we were talking about, the competing focal points. So as a reader, the mic is very prominent in the center, but the information around the mic, as a reader, we might be confused as to where I need to focus my attention on. So on the left side, they talk a little bit about why you need to join this club. Is there something that you would like to, you have stories to share, you want to share ideas, you want to be heard, then Toastmasters is the place for you. So that is what they're talking about on the left. On the right, they're talking about this being a new club. They're forming a new club. So they're also calling for leadership opportunities for the club. And finally, here at the bottom, they're talking about how you could register. So they do have some information mentioned here about the registration aspect of it. But given that it is too much information on one piece of content, it is difficult for us to consume this and to take any action on it. Whereas the one on the right-hand side, it clearly says two messages. It says that this is a free live workshop, and the way they have put the free in bold, in highlight, that captures your attention. That's the visual hierarchy that we spoke about, the contrasting colors that we spoke about. And then you clearly call out the date, and then you call out the workshop highlights, and then you say your link is in the description, which is accompanying this poster. So people are able to click that link and register. So this is just to give you a comparison about how it is important to ensure that your design is created with that visual hierarchy, that it does not have competing focal points, that you make use of good color contrast to call out or highlight key important messages. And you need to have a clear call to action, whether it's a registration link or a QR code. You need to have that clearly inserted in your design at the base of the design, which is what people will need to act upon to join your club meetings. The next point that we're going to talk about is the readability aspect. And here, even if you look at the previous examples, one of them had too much information, and because of that, they had to reduce the size of the font that they used to be able to include all that information in that poster. And the smaller your font is, it is difficult for your readers to actually consume that information. So that is why it is important to use the right font size, to use legible font. And here again, we have the guidelines mentioned in our Toastmasters brand manual as to what are the fonts that are easily readable and what is the suggested font size that you can use as well. And using color contrast. So if you see this particular line, the word contrast, which I've used the gray, which is one of the Toastmaster colors, it doesn't have as much of a contrast as against a white background. So it is important that you use a darker color like a black or the maroon or the blue against a white background to make sure you have a good color contrast. And in terms of readability, it is also important to ensure that your text is concise. A good practice here is to use bullet points rather than having long sentences. When you have long sentences, sometimes you lose people in between those sentences. So it is important to convert that into bullet points and short sentences for people to easily consume. The next thing under the design aspect is the consistency and branding. When you're designing content, it is important to see that you have consistent brand colors. Yumi was talking about the brand colors in the examples. So we need to make sure that we have those brand colors. And the reason why we have that is any organization. So let's take an example of the Golden Arches. The moment you see a golden arch or you hear the term golden arch, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Golden arches. McDonald's, correct. That's correct. So that is the brand recall that a logo or the colors that an organization uses can do for you. So in Toastmasters, the colors that we use, the loyal blue, the true maroon, these are colors that have that recall towards Toastmasters, including the Toastmasters logo. So it is important to maintain that consistency with your brand colors, maintaining consistency with your tone and messaging. If you are inviting someone for a club meeting, you want the entire message to be focused on that. You want to talk about what your club is all about, what is your unique value proposition, and you want to invite them for a club meeting. You do not want to introduce some random aspects over there, because then you're deflecting or you're diverting away from the tone and message of your poster. So it's important to have consistent tone and messaging and consistent visuals as well to reinforce the message. And to give you an example, I came across this poster recently. It's a very simple design where it just says, it's a communication tip series that they've posted, and they say, stay open-minded, be willing to consider different perspectives. And what drew me to this poster was the woman in the middle, where she's looking intently at what the woman on the right is saying. And this was something that I felt that image really captivates the message that you're trying to communicate. Be willing to consider different perspectives. You can see that genuinity on her face, that she's really trying to listen to what that person is trying to say. So that is why it is important that you need to match your images to the message you are saying. So these were 3 things about the design aspect, which is the first part of our presentation today. We spoke about the visual hierarchy, the readability, and the consistency and branding. And now we move on to the second aspect, which is the messaging part of it. So while we can create great designs, which are attractive, which are engaging, it is very important that the message in those designs are also in line with the intent that we want to achieve, the goal that we want to achieve, which is bringing guests to our club meetings. So how do we work on creating messages that attract, persuade, and convert our guests into members? So just as how design is going to help you gain their attention, messaging is what can help you gain their action. And here the action is drawing them to one of your club meetings. So your message should answer these questions. Why should I care? If you recall the article that I showed you in one of the initial slides about the 3-second rule, it says, do I understand this? And is this for me? So the why should I care? And the next thing is, what is in it for me? The term WIFM is something that we use extensively in the world of PR. What is in it for me? If you are able to clearly articulate the value that your reader is going to gain by attending one of your club meetings, that is something that will draw them to join in those meetings. And very important, what should I do next? If you tell them all about what they're going to gain and you leave out the part of what they need to actually join the meeting, then it's a half-baked cake. So you need to let them know, what should I do next? The call to action. That is whether they're going to have to register using a QR code or visit your website and try to reach out to your VPPR for the Zoom link, whatever be the action. You need to clearly communicate that in your posters. So while we're focusing on the topic of messaging, I wanted to leave this thought for you. We need to see how we are able to reframe some of our messages. I've spent a lot of time the last couple of years being the public relations manager this year and VPPR last year for my club. I've spent a lot of time on social media trying to learn from other clubs, like trying to learn from other districts. And many a times I've noticed that some of our posters, we talk a lot about the features. We say that we have the example here, we have weekly club meetings. Think of it from the point of view of the reader. If you were the reader, if you were the person consuming this content, what does weekly club meetings do for you? Is that something that is that something that draws you towards this? Yes, it does talk about consistency, absolutely. But then if you're able to reframe that, and instead of talking about the feature, if you're able to focus on the benefit instead, and the example here is gain confidence speaking in front of groups. So you're focusing on the what is in it for you. What can you gain by attending this club meeting? That is a language, or that is a message that connects better with your audience. So anytime you design a poster, try to see how you can focus on the benefits and not so much as on the features. Another example, we do talk about leadership as the second pillar in Toastmasters. So when you say leadership opportunities, that is a very generic or a very high level feature. But if you drill down and say something like build skills that advances your career, you're flipping the script, you're reframing it with the point of view of your reader. So you're saying if you want to advance in your career, and if you want to build skills to advance in your career, then try to visit our club meeting. So think about how you can flip the script or how you can reframe and focus on the benefit that you give your audience, that is your guests, rather than on the features. And while you do this, it is important for us to first understand who our target audience is. Each of us are from different Toastmaster clubs. We are all in this larger organization called Toastmasters International, but there's so much difference, so much difference in value that we can get between our clubs. And what I mean by that, to give you an example, Umanga, Aneta, and myself, we are part of a club which is called Listening Earned, Speaking Learned. In this club, we focus not only on speaking skills, but also on our listening skills. We have the role of a listener, which is dedicated or which is special to this club. And if I were to ask some of you, for examples, if there is something unique in your club, I would like to hear from you. What is the unique value in your club? What is something different that you do in your clubs? And if you're able to unmute and share with us, or if you're comfortable, you can post it in the chat. I would like to know some of the unique features that we have in the room today. I see you, me typing. I'm waiting to read your message. Okay, if you are able to type, or you can even unmute and let us know if anyone would like to. What is the unique feature that your club has as against other Toastmasters clubs?
Lena, I guess I could just say faster.
Yeah,
One of the clubs that I helped to charter and I'm a member of is a university club, Cal Poly Toastmasters. So this is a club to help staff, faculty, and also mostly, largely to students to grow as a communicator and leader. And we're seeing more and more students join, so that's a good thing. I'm so
absolutely.
impressed when students, who are 18, 19, 20 years old joining Toastmasters. It's incredible. Thank you.
Absolutely. So Yumi shared the example of a club this is focused for students, for young professionals. I see in the chat Aneta's sharing an example of professional influence, which is women mentorship and networking. I see ET has posted in the chat about World Travelers Toastmasters, where we have members around 15 countries, and I believe you are trying to see how you're able to learn from each other, learn from each other's cultures, and you have a yearly conference in one of your countries of the members. Wow. So as we see, each of our Toastmaster clubs has something special or something unique to offer while we are all still part of the larger Toastmasters International Organization. So that is why it's important for us to first know our audience. Are we catering to students and young professionals, or are we catering to managers and emerging leaders, or entrepreneurs and business owners? Or there are clubs that I've seen which focus completely on technical professionals. We have one of the clubs in District 100 where they focus on technical professionals. And then you have community and nonprofit leaders. We do have a nonprofit club as well in District 100, and I'm sure other districts have as well. So why we need to focus on, or why we need to understand who our target audience is, because that is what defines the message that we have in our promotional content. You need to try to tailor or try to connect with that target audience with specific language, with specific messaging. And in some of the further slides, we will do, I'll give you an example of how you can define this value that you're giving to your specific target group in a very eloquent manner. So this is the main thing that I wanted to share with you. The formula, which is audience, benefit, outcome. We need to ensure that our message encompasses these three. The focus has to be on the audience. It is not about you. It is not about, yes, you want to talk about your club, but how is your club helping the guests that you want to invite to your club meeting? So focus on the audience. What is the benefit they will receive by joining your Toastmaster meetings, and what is the outcome that they will see? And the example that I've shown here, this is specifically for the target group of students and young professionals. Build confidence and professional skills to succeed in school, interviews, and the workplace. So here, this is tailored specifically for students and young professionals, and that's the target audience. And the benefit here is you are going to build confidence and professional skills through the Toastmaster meetings. And the outcome, this is going to help you in your school, interviews, and workplace. So remember the formula: audience, benefit, outcome. To give you a few more examples, this is for another target audience, which is managers and emerging leaders. And here you're going to talk about strengthen leadership and communication skills, which is the benefit. by joining Toastmasters. And what is the outcome? To lead teams more effectively. And another example, which is for the target group of technical professionals, the benefit is develop communication skills. And the output or the outcome is to explain complex ideas with clarity and influence. So rather than having a very generic message saying join Toastmasters and improve communication and leadership, if you're able to drill down specific to your target audience and call out clearly what is the benefit they'll get by joining your meetings and what is the outcome that they're going to achieve, then that message is a more focused message. Yumi was talking about focused message. So that is what we are trying to achieve over here. Some of the common mistakes that we see in messaging is too much information. You can recall one of the examples that we saw. The next is having club-centric or Toastmaster-centric language. What I mean by this is, if your poster, which you're going to use for the public Facebook page, has words like DTM or has words like maybe a grammarian or an R counter, what do you think that does for a layman, a non-Toastmaster? They might not be able to connect with that. They might not understand, they might not know what DTM means. Even if you expand it as distinguished Toastmaster, that as a term might not resonate with them. So that is why it is important for all your external communication, that is your public messaging that you do, to try and limit or try and avoid Toastmaster lingo or Toastmaster language and using excessive jargons for your internal messaging. So you might have a Facebook members group page. For those, if you want to talk about your trainings or if you want to talk about someone who has recently achieved their Distinguished Toastmaster Award, that is perfectly fine because that is within the world of Toastmasters. People might be able to relate to what TLI is or what DTM is. So it is important to differentiate between your internal audience and your external audience. And for external audience, we need to try and limit the club-centric or the Toastmaster-centric language as much as possible. And the third key mistake that we often do is the weak or missing call to action. We discussed this earlier. If we do not have that call to action at the end of your design, then you've lost your audience. It is a half-baked cake because they are not able to do something after reading that poster. You need to let them know what they need to do. What is the action they need to take? Do they need to register? Do they need to come in person and attend a club meeting? You need to clearly articulate that. So instead of focusing on these messages, let's see what we can do instead of that. So focus on your audience needs, keep it simple, and provide a clear next step. And I wanted to share with you a few examples which are effective calls to action. So you can use these words or use these phrases in your designs. Visit as a guest, or you can say register today, and then you include the registration link or the QR code. You can say join our next meeting. So these are some of the words, the action words that you can use towards the end of your poster to ensure that you have a strong call to action and make sure that it is prominent, the font size, the color, everything, make sure it's prominent for them to focus on it and take action on it. I wanted to share a few examples with you, which I found very interesting. And I call this innovative messaging or creative. I can see the creativity that goes behind these messages. This was something that I saw on the Facebook page recently. I don't recall which club this was, but I loved how they were able to articulate the value that you get out of Toastmasters by comparing it with things that are mentioned on the left, it says that for $10, you can get one medium-sized popcorn, or 2 drinks from Starbucks, or a pair of slippers. Whereas with $10, you can get all of the following, and they list the benefits of Toastmasters. Of course, they have the asterisk which points to say that $10 is the amount per month, so it is 60 for 6 months. But here, this very simple comparison where you're able to bring in that relatability. I know one of you spoke about relatability in the chat. So this talks about that relativity. You're able to tell people, okay, instead of getting 2 Starbucks drinks, you can try to work and improve yourself, try to work on your communication skills, improve your presentation skills. It's a safe place to practice and make lifelong friendships. So this was one example I wanted to share with you. Another one was an email that I received, I think the last month, from District 3. And the subject line of this email was "Selfish Leaders Wanted." And that stood out for me because I've always received emails saying leaders wanted. And this was the first time I received an email saying selfish leaders wanted. And that really piqued my curiosity. And I definitely was going to open that email and read what it said. So if you're able to use words, captivating words, if you're able to change the messaging that you have to pique the interest of your audience, then definitely look at ways in which you can do that. Another one that I recently came across was this. Here there is no design, it's just a picture that they have captured from one of their club meetings. It's not a poster, it's not a flyer. It just shows me a shoe in the foreground, and then I see a member standing and speaking. And then when I read the description that accompanies this picture or photo, it says that you never know what's going to happen at a Toastmasters meeting. 1 minute you see the member standing in a full suit asking, "Do you trust me?" And the next minute there is a shoe on the floor, his hair is a mess, and the whole room is rethinking how they judge people. So this picture or photo that they have captured from one of their meetings and the message that accompanies that is something that really caught my attention. I was like, okay, what is this photo? Why is this shoe here? So this is something, I mean, you might have heard the term disruptive marketing. And if you're interested to learn more, you can read up on it even online. So there are a lot of companies, organizations who try to work on this disruptive marketing, where you'll see the banners that they use will be very unique. It'll really stand out. I think recently there was with the Star Wars movie that was released, Mandalorian and Grogu. I think it was the Times Square. There was a banner that they had where they had Grogu in the banner and how he was able to move, I think, a popcorn or something like that. So that banners like that really stand out rather than having a very static banner. When you're able to really captivate the audience with a message, that is something that really draws people in. So I'll take a pause here, and before I wanted to do a case study with you. I've got a flyer on the left side, and I thought we could work together to see how we can transform or how we can change this flyer, including all what we learned today, and how we can improve this flyer. So let me stop sharing for a bit. Let me see if we have any questions or any comments before we go into the case study. So anyone would like to add if there's something that you have seen in terms of design or in terms of messaging, something that you have seen as a good example, something that your club has done or your district has done. If you would like to share that with the larger group here, I would like to take a few minutes and then we can quickly go into the case study. Anyone would like to share? Or any questions if you have in all that we have discussed till now? Just going through the chat as well to see if I've missed something. Okay, I see Malcolm has mentioned. Yes, Malcolm, go ahead.
thanks. Very interesting topic, and I like how you're unpacking it. So thank you for that. One thing that I've noticed, even though Toastmasters International has its brand manual, too many clubs do not adhere to the basics regarding how to use either the colors or especially how to respect the TI logo. So, like for instance, a basic thing is we should leave a white space around the logo.
Yep.
And use only colors approved as background behind the logo. We do not respect that enough. For instance, because I have a cool background with a lot going on, and I just paste the logo in front of that, which is a clear violation. So, yes, I do understand there are too many rules in the manual. However, if each club can adhere to the basic ones, I think that would be a huge improvement.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Malcolm. And as Malcolm said, yes, it might look like there are too many rules, but that is there for a reason. And the more I've played the role of public relations manager this year and VPPR in the last few years, I've come to appreciate those rules because all that we spoke today, the readability, the color contrasts, or the highlighting of the message, having the right focal points. If you were to use the Toastmaster brand colors and the fonts and the logo usage appropriately, it automatically takes care of some of those things for you. You don't have to search for which background color goes well with which text font, because Toastmasters brand manual already calls that out for you. So I've posted the link in the chat to the Toastmasters brand manual. And I think what we need to look at is trying to maintain the basic aspects. So the colors definitely is one thing we need to try to see how we're able to focus on. And the logo usage, definitely we do not want to, when we spoke about the golden arches, the moment we said the word golden arches, all of you were able to relate to McDonald's. That is the power of that logo. So Toastmasters logo as well has that recognizability. So we need to make sure that we maintain the logo intact and not stretch it out or not add different colors to it or not edit it. Yes, Paul, I see you have your hand raised.
Leonard, well done. This is really unpacking. I am so glad to be in this meeting all the way from Abuja, Nigeria.
Welcome.
I want to take it from the last speaker to say that the rules are so numerous. Beyond that, going down the clubs, a lot of PRO managers are just freshers.
Yeah.
Who deserve to be taught this process. I equally understand, even at the level of district meeting, nobody had taken our time to teach PR managers to understand these rubrics and how to go in about it. Essentially, taking up from the perspective of what the focal point is, the audience, you look at the outcome. It's a whole, purview of how to back it beyond even Toastmasters. But like you talked about color identification, posters are mainly for non-Toastmasters to appreciate Toastmasters, what Toastmasters stand for, so they can join. So at the point of this message is going out, I know in my division, most times it's posted among the WhatsApp platform of all the Toastmasters group. And sometimes I used to say, why are you inviting a fellow Toastmaster? Just get marketed done, invite people outside. So I know from the onset, a non-Toastmaster will not identify this call. So I think what is more important, what should be more important is what are the benefits and the outcome. And I love the way you categorize them to apply to different segments, different group of persons. But a whole lot of time, Toastmasters meetings, invitation are generic, except we're able to identify professional clubs. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to inviting you to come and train us someday. Please, I'm begging you. One of these days, I'm going to get across so that I can come train us. This is very valuable. My time is well spent. Thank you and thank you.
Thank you. And yes, I'll be happy to help. It is important. This is something that I have learned. I'm not someone who's been in PR for several years in the past. It's the last few years that I've been in the world of PR. And what has helped me is keeping my mind open. I always am on the lookout to learn from other clubs, to learn from other districts, what is working well and what is not working well as well. And the key message is like what Paul said, your internal audience and your external audience. So that is something that I try to follow down to the T. Any information which is pertaining internal audience, which is your TLIs or any workshops that you have internally within your club or district, or if you want to congratulate someone for achieving some award, which might be meaningful only within the Toastmasters community. All that information is something that needs to be sent only within your internal groups. And there, yes, like what Paul said, maybe you can use WhatsApp or you have emails or you have Facebook members group or any of those platforms. But our primary audience is external guests. And for them, the language that we speak should be something that relates to them. And that is what we spoke about, the benefits rather than just focusing on the features. It has to be answer that question, do I understand this? And is this for me? So that is something that I would want to leave you with. So let me quickly share my screen again if there are any, I'm just checking the chat if any other, okay, Yumi has shared some examples. Thank you for sharing that, Yumi. I have also posted the link to the brand manual in the chat as well as the Learning Labs recording. So we did conduct 2 sessions prior to this on the topic of PR. One was focused on social media strategy. The other one was focused on the print and media. And we spoke about corporate clubs, about in-person clubs and newsletters. So if you're interested, you can watch those recordings. This session is also being recorded and will be posted in a few days on the same playlist. So let me share my screen and let's take the next few minutes to work together and see how we are able to transform. This is just a sample that I have taken. I just put together something and I wanted to see how we can work together and see if we can make this poster any better. And this is going to be based on your inputs, whatever you have learned from today's session. I want to hear from you and let's see how we can change it. So I'm going to keep this sample poster. I'm going to create a copy so that it will be before and after for us to see as a comparison as to how our learning has worked today. So let's get started. This is the poster that we are going to work on. The very first thing, yes, this has a header. It says Discover Toastmasters in Southern California. Do you think this heading is something which is speaking to the audience as to what is in it for them? Or do you think we can change this header? And I would like to hear from you either in the chat or if you can unmute and share your thoughts. Yes, Oksana?
Too generic, needs to be catchy.
Okay, so what would you suggest? Instead of this, what can we have instead?
Well, hard to propose without knowing specifics of the club. It would be good to have something specific about the club. For example, if it's corporate club, then ready to advance your career, join
Okay.
us for blah, 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 open house or whatever.
Great, ready to advance your career, join. You can still bring in the Southern California aspect because you want to maybe talk about, okay, these are clubs based within a particular geography. So you can say, join one of our Southern California, missed the C, Toastmasters Club. Okay, now I don't want to keep all of them with the same font size. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take this out and keep this with a smaller font size. And this is the one.
And you have 2 1s, join 1 1.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for that. So
Now
I'm
you have
going to
more
keep,
space.
yeah, no, exactly. That's what we want to do. We want to try and have more white space. So keep it this way. And here you can even, maybe have a glow or something like that if you want to, or you can have an echo. You can try any of those. You can have a background, or depending on what your style is, that is where your creativity comes in, but I leave that to you. But yeah, let's just leave this glow for now. And I can even change the color. So I have all the TI colors I've already included into my Canva brand manual. So I'm going to use the accent color. So yellow, the happy yellow is the accent color, which means you use it very sparingly. You use it only when you really want to draw attention to something. So here I'm just choosing to use that for the key point or the key header here. And the images, okay, I think I've taken all these from the Toastmasters um, manual section. But again, these are the stock images. If you are having your own club meetings, I would strongly recommend you to have images from that. That way, people are actually seeing who the members of your club is. So maybe I think I have one of the district. Let me see, I should be having a district image that we took recently. I'm going to try and use that. Or even if it's a club meeting, let's just go with this for now. This is one of the club meetings, one of our clubs. So I'm just going with a sample for now. If you have your club meeting images or your district images, you can post that. Now, the next thing, coming to this entire block of information below here, it talks about what Toastmasters International is. It talks about what District 100 is. It talks about benefits. It talks about what you can participate in meetings. And finally, it says visit our club as a guest. So there's too much information over here. So I would rather, instead of having what Toastmasters is and what District 100 is, I would rather maybe just say something like, I've got some information. Let me just, I'm going to take out this whole section, and I'm going to take out this section as well. Instead, I'm going to just replace it with a much condensed version. So I removed what Toastmasters is and what district, the detailed explanation of it. Instead, I'm flipping the script and I'm focusing on the audience now, where I'm saying whether you want to excel at presentations, lead with confidence, or communicate more effectively. I've just chosen three phrases or action words over here, these three. Let me use a different color for that as well, just to create that contrast. And then I say Toastmasters can help. And even the font size, I will have a bigger font size. I can center align it to keep it in line with the rest of the text and image on top. Then I can talk a little bit about why join Toastmasters. Maybe increase the font size for that as well. Make it more readable. Here, when I increase the font size, speeches goes to the next line. I rather have it as one single line. So I leave it with this font size. That way speeches stays on the first line itself. That is, again, readability. You have all your 4 checkpoints, one below the other, because if I have to show you when speeches goes to the next line, because I increase the font size, it breaks my readability. So that is a decision I would take where I don't want to do that. So I keep the font size as 22 instead. And finally, visit a club as a guest, experience Toastmasters firsthand, complete our club matching survey at so-and-so link is provided, the district link, and we'll help you connect. So instead of all this, I'm going to make it as just individual points. And instead of the link, I'm going to give a QR code instead, because that is easier for people to scan right from their mobile phones. So here I say, are you interested in starting your Toastmasters journey, and I change the color. I will make this also center aligned. So here you'll see I'm moving between center aligned and left aligned. That is again a design choice that I'm making just to ensure that, okay, to communicate that this is another section. So this was one section and this is the next section, just to indicate that break. And then I go to say, visit a Toastmaster club as a guest. So here the action, the call to action comes in here. Visit a Toastmaster club as a guest. And then you can say district 100 offers in person, online, and hybrid. That is to tell people that we've got these different formats and you can choose based on your schedule, based on your preference. And finally say, scan the QR code so that we can direct you to a club. So let me reduce the font size for that. This whole section, we can reduce the font size a little. And we could also put that separately instead of keeping it like that. And we'll finally insert the QR code. So this again, I can make it left aligned and maybe make it bullet points. Font size needs to reduce a little. Okay. Okay. And then you can include your QR code. Canva allows you to have the QR code. Okay, I think this line needs to go up a little more because the lower thing is not fitting into this. Okay. And then you have this QR code option in Canva. You'll be able to create a QR code. So if your URL is the district ID, you can just say d100tm.org and you can generate the QR code. The reason why I recommend using QR code is, as I mentioned, it is easy for people to scan right from their mobile phones. So that is something, rather than having the link and then they need to type out the link or click the link, QR code is an easy format for them to access your website. So this is a very quick thing that we did. You can work on it a little more and you can reduce the text that you have. Furthermore, you can change the language further to make it more focused on your target group. But this is just to give you a rough idea of how you can work on the design and messaging aspect. So if you look at the previous, this was the previous flyer that we had. We had all the information put over here. We didn't have the focal points. We didn't have the color contrast. We didn't have the demarcation of the different sections. That is the header and body. Whereas in this one, you clearly have, and like what Oksana said, the header in the previous one was very generic, whereas here we have flipped the script to focus on the audience and say what they will get from it. And then you go into talk about what Toastmasters is, and finally have a strong call to action saying, are you interested in starting your Toastmasters journey? If so, visit a club. And how do you do that? Scan this QR code and submit the survey. We will direct you to one of our clubs. So with this, I will stop sharing my screen. And I know we are a little over time. I wish we could spend a little more time to work through some of our learnings on that poster, but wanted to see if any last questions before we wrap up. Any thoughts from anyone that you would like to share with the group? Or what are some of the things that you will take away from today's presentation? I do have the key takeaway slide. Let me bring that up as well, so that you have a view of that. So we spoke about the strong visual hierarchy, easy to read content, consistent branding, which all come within the design aspect. and audience-focused messaging, and a clear call to action, which comes within the purview of the messaging aspect. So it is designed along with messaging that would help you create posters or flyers which can attract your guests to your club meetings. Any thoughts from anyone? Any questions? Let me see the chat if there are any questions. Okay, Malcolm says that it was not as scary as I first thought. PR is something which is very fun to work on. The last few years, I have learned a lot. And as you go along, your creativity also improves. You get more focused with your messaging. If I look at some of the posters I created 5 years back to what I'm creating today, I can see that there has been a tremendous change, because the more I learn, the more I know, the more I look at other clubs, other districts, best practices, that is helping me create better posters as a PR person. And I strongly encourage all of you, keep an open mind, learn from other districts, learn from other clubs as well. Yes, Aneta, I see you have your hand raised.
Lena, a phenomenal, phenomenal presentation once again. I am all about the practice, applying what I learned. We have great learning labs, but when we can be hands-on like we are always in your presentations, you allow the intentionality of practice. And it does help build confidence in creating slides, or for myself, being able to articulate to those that I'm empowering in my club to be better PR professionals or VP PRs within the district. This is how we grow and learn. So whether I'll become better at creating slides, who knows? But I am surely empowered to be able to communicate to others. But better yet, I invite them to come to these presentations and get it firsthand. And then we have powerful meetings where we can go forward for our club. Once again, outstanding, Lena. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Aneta. Always happy to help and share whatever I have learned through this journey with others who are new to the world of PR, who are wanting to explore. And my parting thoughts for you is, you do not have to be an expert at this. It is something you can learn along the way, as long as you are having that mind of curiosity, having that mind to learn and put in the practice, what Anita was talking about. Definitely, PR is something that you should definitely try, and it's not something to be scared about. It's not as scary as it looks. Back to you, Manga.
Thank you so much, Lena. Lena is our phenomenal PRM in District 100. Thanks again. She has done series of PR presentation. The link is in the chat. If you like to go through these things, you can do that. This is our first learning lab in month of July. The second learning lab and the District 100 last learning lab is going to be on June 27th. We do have 2 speakers. Our special guest speakers are Pam McCown, past international director. She's going to talk about, the places you will go. The second speaker is Shala Hossain. She's past district director in District 56. She's going to talk about recognition. If you are available, please join with us. And thank you so much, everyone, being here, and have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Until next time.
Thank you. Until